Welcome to Vol Stars, where we talk everything markets and those who make them. Today's episode brought to you once again by Campbell's Soup. We bring you the highest quality food that we stand by. Just listen to what our VP recently had to say about our product. We have shit for fucking poor people. Who buys our shit? I don't buy Campbell's products anymore. It's not healthy. Now that I know what the fuck's in it, even in a can of soup, I look at it, it's bioengineered meat. I don't want to eat a fucking piece of chicken that came from a 3D printer. Campbell's, please buy our shit. And finally, by GammaStrike.com, providing actionable real-time data for every type of trader. You've tried the rest, now try the best. GammaStrike.com. That is a real quote. I actually rewatched the local news interview of the guy, the whistleblower, to make sure that I was getting all of the words correct. That's a real quote. Anyway, okay, I'm JFresh, and that was the last intro I'll probably ever be asked to do, and I'm joined by our co-hosts Gherk and Dork. Let's get into the market overview. What's going on this week?
Well, NVIDIA earnings happened. That was kind of cool.
Is that the first thing on the list, Dork? Follow the list.
I don't know, but that's the first thing that came to mind. It's all anyone's been thinking about.
What? I've been thinking about something else. You want to know what I've been thinking about?
What's that?
We launched GammaStrike.
Oh, shit. You're right. That
All right,
happened.
yes. So I've gotten a couple questions. I know other people have gotten a couple questions. Why did we do this? Another option service. There's a bunch of them out there. What are we doing here?
Well, I think Gherk can probably answer that one, considering he basically dragged us all into a room with a leash, pulled out a bedpost, and started hitting us with it until GammaStrike popped out.
How dare you disclose our meetings publicly? That is a violation of your NDA.
Yeah.
I need you to report to the dungeon in the lower level for your HR exit interview.
Should I bring the cat of nine tails again this time?
Yeah. Also, those little leather pants, if you have them.
Oh, yeah. They look so cute.
What's left of them?
Very good. True. No, well, I mean, no, not just me. All of us, really, we started compiling data on stocks 5 years ago now, almost, and building models to analyze volatility positions and options chains as we began to notice during the kind of whole GME fiasco, if everybody remembers that. We wanted to, we were seeing fairly strong evidence that the tail was wagging the dog in these small cap stocks, and we wanted to know how deep it would go, and so we started to collect more data on more stocks, and we built models to analyze specific things we were looking for, and those models turned out to be very useful tools for trading, and very useful tools for analysis, and very useful tools for figuring out market sentiment. And we started to refine those models, and we put them together, and we selfishly kept them all for ourselves for a very long time. And then one day, JFresh was like, fuck this shit, I'm going to quit if we don't make any money off of this, after he blew up his account for about the 10th time.
That's not true.
And
that's revisionist history. It's fake news.
You don't protest loudly enough. So we started building a platform to pipe in all of this market data and analyze it, and that's what we've been doing for the last year since we first launched this to a few people. We brought on beta subscribers to help kind of fund the pathway to building out the infrastructure, and our goal over the long term is that we hope to provide retail with the same tools that are available to hedge funds and market makers and investment banks and their trade desks. And we hope to provide that at a speed which is equivalent to anything a professional would have, and at a price that is significantly lower than other market data services available to retail traders. And we we want to ultimately empower them to be able to do the analysis with all the available tools and hopefully succeed more in the market than they did previously.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'll add a couple of things to that. We talk about like the tail wagging the dog. Back when we started doing this, it became obvious that the tail seemed to be wagging the dog back when, in 2021, the options contracts on the market were worth around $500 billion. And now today they're worth, almost $1.2 trillion. We actually went over $1.2 trillion before OPEC's here. So if it was wagging the dog before then, it's definitely wagging it now. And that
Yeah.
correlates to almost $7 trillion worth of delta, which is, at this point, 15 to 20% of the entire market cap of the S&P, right? So, um, it is definitely a big and growing thing. Whether that's good or not, it remains to be seen, but it's here and it's powerful, and it's basically how the market moves nowadays. And so if you want to participate in it, you have to have some of this data. And like you said, we spent a lot of time, we were working on this stuff for years, and we really just kind of got to a point where we wanted more data, and the infrastructure it would require to build it started to become something that we weren't willing to, completely invest ourselves. Like, it would just cost too much money. So we decided, this is the time to start, opening this up and allowing other people to have access to it so that we could have access to it as well. And one of the things that we've always wanted to do while we were building this was to make sure that we're building a product that was better than anything else that was currently on the market and cheaper. And so, I would challenge any of our listeners who are thinking about trying it or curious about it, or maybe a little hesitant. What is the thing that you wish you had, or what is the thing that you love about your current service or that you wish your current service could do? Come complain to us, and your complaint could turn into, the next great feature that we add, because that's kind of how we've been operating over this last year with our beta. And yeah, we want to keep making this better. We have a roadmap to expand the data far beyond where it is today. It's just, you know, kind of a chicken and the egg. We got to grow steady, so that we can keep adding in more data. But yeah, we're excited. Hopefully, we'll be the last options tool you ever have to use. Because Gherk, how many options tools did we wean you off of over the
All of
last?
them.
Yeah, are we at all of
The
them?
only things I have left are option strat and trading view. And I used to have, I think, about 11 different services. A lot of them were like Gex Dex services, but the calculations were so inconsistent between them that I would kind of just like take the aggregate of like several services and then try to make my trading decisions from there. And now I just use GammaStrike. I
Yeah.
mean, like, not to even like shill my own product, but it's true. Like, I mean, I have not needed other services. Then we have all the things that I wanted because I browbeat you guys to the point
Yeah.
where you may have once been my best friends, but you now probably
No,
hate me.
we fucking hate
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I know.
But
I hear tangentially about what you say behind my back
there is
nowadays.
no, I'm saying it to your face
Behind?
right now. There's no secrets. We hate your guts, but we're really proud of this. So,
I mean, yeah,
um,
like one of my biggest motivators for working on this too is making Gherk stop bitching about all the fucking services he has and how much they all annoy him and in which ways they annoy him. I'm
Oh
so
god, there were
thankful
so
that's
many.
over.
There
Now
was
you
there
just
was
bitch about GammaStrike.
incorrect calculations. There was updates that weren't consistent. There was no there was no redundancy. So if there was any kind of failure, all the data was just gone for the next day. You were flying blind, and you were paying $150 a month for like a day where there's just no data. Like,
Yeah, we could
and it
geek out
felt
on
bad.
the technical stuff. I know, Ron. Let us talk about GS, okay? We'll move on. I promise. We're gonna
Jesus fucking
yeah.
Christ, Ron, this is our baby.
Okay, one thing I want to geek out on. Speaking about redundancy, our real-time data, which updates price on all the equities every second, and it updates the full options chain and aggregates it for you by strike and all of that every 10 seconds. And we have, double redundancy on that. And if something were to have, if something went down and it cut off our access, let's say 15 minutes, CBOE shit the bed, or something shit the bed somewhere. When it comes back on, it's already programmed to go and fetch all the data that we missed and fill it in. And so you get like
Yep.
no loss of service. And that's just like one of those really cool back end geeky things that was a lot of work to put together, but most people hopefully will never
You know what the
really.
coolest, honestly, the coolest feeling I've had since we made GammaStrike was October. What was it? October 13th, when China announced the late night tariff thing and Trump responded like in the morning session. I think it was the big red day in October. You can't miss it. Go look at the chart.
I remember there was
but
a day that a bunch of other services just
market opened, SPX opened, Schwab went down, Fidelity went down, Webull went down, everybody, right?
Yep.
Because just data overload, too many users hopping on, everyone freaking out. And GammaStrike ran through the whole fucking thing without a hitch.
Yeah.
And I was just proud. Like a proud dad,
Yeah. Those are the
Were
kinds
you
of
getting on the
days you
fax
find
machine with your
out.
brokers, sending orders to
I don't.
them?
Yeah, I won't. I'm never gonna name names because I'll try to be classy. But those are the kind of days you find out if your options data service is just a wrapper for IBKR API.
Wow.
Anyway, all right. Enough shilling. Ron's right for once. Don't let that go to your head, Ron. Fuck you. Let's get to the market overview. It's going to be a short week this week, but a lot happened last week, so maybe we can do a little bit of a blend of the two.
Yeah, that's fun.
First thing, GDP numbers have kind of been floating around. I know that the Atlanta Fed says 4.2, which is a hot GDP. Cleveland Fed, I think, is a lot lower. It's 1.5. And I always forget these actual calculations are quite different from each other. They're completely different philosophical calculations. One is based on mostly just like correlation. I believe the Cleveland Fed is the correlation, and the Atlanta Fed tries to add up. It basically makes assessments based on like data prints that are coming out. So every time a new data print comes out, it will adjust its numbers. So as we get closer, the Atlanta Fed should get more accurate, right? It's kind of like one of those things where it's like by the time CPI and PPI come out, everybody kind of knows what PCE is going to be because a lot of the inputs are already known, and then you just calculate it. Kind of like that thing. So as you get closer, the Atlanta Fed gets better. The Cleveland Fed is kind of better if things are going well. So I actually tend to lean towards the Atlanta Fed in times like this because we're kind of in unprecedented times. But what are your thoughts on any of that? Okay, GDP hot, GDP cold? What's going on?
GDP just right?
Ooh, soft landing.
I mean, no, I don't. Well, I have a bunch of reasons for that. I guess the first thing would be, I kind of lean the other, like the opposite way on which GDP forecast I buy into more. Don't get me wrong. I think they're both, kind of reverse looking crap models.
As they all are. It's
Yeah.
from the Fed. What do you expect?
And like so for me, like so Cleveland's now casting is based off of the yield curve, like the GDP predicted by the yield curve. So they use like a dynamic model that has like inputs from like oil futures and gas prices, and they use that to like infer like CPI and PCE data, I think. And then they just use like a standard regression model against the yield curve with that modifier. And honestly, like I feel like the simpler forecasting model ends up being closer to true over time, but probably more exposed to like fluctuations, whereas the Atlanta model will be generally closer to like each individual print,
Yeah, very,
if that
very
makes sense.
close to the print. They'll be more accurate. But it is kind of interesting that the Atlanta one has been kind of trending up over time.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely more granular and like more high frequency, I guess. But the Cleveland one is smoother. Regardless, I mean, generally, what you see is GDP kind of fall between the middle of the two.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And so I actually just try to like kind of pay attention to the spread, and just consider the mean and maybe bake in some of my own assumptions into that. But I would say, if Atlanta's at 4.2, Cleveland's at 1.5, I'd probably fall somewhere around like 2.3 or 2.4
Is that
off
real
the
or
top of my
nominal?
head.
Real or nominal?
Uh, Nominal.
Oof. Oof. So not great.
Not
Well,
particularly.
that's kind of, I think this is something that everybody gets a little bit confused by, is that there are some there are plenty of indicators that show things are great. But then there's things like, for example, I'll just note them specifically. Lumber, absolutely in the shitter. Oil, in the shitter.
Mhm.
You've got folks who've been tracking the freight truck industry, who've been in the game for decades, are saying this is one of the worst freight downturns they've ever seen. But at the same time, on the other end, PCE, climbs 5% a year, like clockwork. People are spending. And the numbers on delinquencies and things like that, yeah, they're climbing up, and there's some uncertainty about how much of that's being hidden in, your Klarnas and your pay when you can kind of payday loans for shit on Amazon. But what's going on here? Why does some of the numbers look fine? Why do some of the numbers make the consumer look as resilient as they've ever been, but then other numbers just look absolutely off the charts bad?
Well, it's a mixed economy. It all depends on which demographic you fall into, really. I mean, if you're on the lower end of the income spectrum, what's even funnier too is that you have the conflict even runs deeper, right? Because you have lower income folks who are the ones who are most likely to be buying things on credit, right? You have these delinquency rates rising. At the same time, the data sort of suggests that the lower income group has actually gotten a better increase in their standard of living over the last 5 years than any other group.
I would refute that. I actually wrote something on that a while back, and it's just gotten
I know
worse.
you did. I know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying what the mainstream point of view is on this is that if you look at everything conventionally, things look like that lower income groups should be feeling pretty good, and yet they don't.
Yeah.
Right?
I've always kind of taken the approach of, like, maybe we shouldn't gaslight them. Maybe they're probably more hyper aware of their situation than anybody else. Because what I've found is the more I've climbed the wealth ladder, the less I have, combed through my finances with a fine-tooth comb, the more I kind of let things through.
Well,
And
like how
they
often do
don't
you
have the
look at the price of the
luxury.
cereal box, right?
Right.
Like they
No,
look at the
it's
cereal
like
box price every time.
grocery stores monopoly money. It's not even real money. I go to the grocery store and I get what I need, and I'm just like, "Ooh, that's a number that seems wild," but
It's a
it's like
number.
it's not even real. It's not even real anymore to me. Um, but so I am the least qualified to talk about pricing pressures and how the average consumer is feeling. And I feel like the people that are screaming at us things aren't going well, they're the ones that are going to the store and being like, well, shit, I can't buy a turkey big enough for, all the people I want to feed, or, we're going to have to cut back here and there. Just constantly cutting corners.
Well, it's not even like the Thanksgiving thing is a kick in the crotch, but it's every week, right?
Yes, I
Like
know.
where it just wears
I
you
just bought
down.
a turkey. That's why I'm thinking about that. But get your turkeys, everybody. It takes a while for them to thaw.
Yeah.
Get them now. Um, but yeah, and it's exhausting, right? I mean, I I did used to be somebody who had to worry about $5 here, $10 there, and that is exhausting. And
Oh
so I can
yeah, no,
see
like it
why
comes down to
they're
things like, well, it's so here's the it's a two-sided thing that you notice when you're shopping, right? And I try not to think about it too much because my mental health is important. But when I go grocery shopping, I'm noticing two things, right? The prices of things, they're just high as fuck, and I'm like, I am paying way too much for a box of cereal right now. And two, this box of cereal is like they made the box paper thin, and I'm like, well, how much cereal am I really getting here? Like, and you go like you get like a bag of, I don't know, salt and vinegar chips. I love salt and vinegar potato chips, so I go to get a bag of
it's
those.
disgusting.
$4. It's $4 for like what used to be like it's a weird in between from like the single serving bag and the big bag you used to get. Now it's like a half filled, like just air bag mostly, and you're paying $4 for it. It's ridiculous. And yeah, I think that is where consumer sentiment especially is kind of coming from.
Yeah, definitely party sizes have gotten really sad. Just like terrible parties with
Yeah, yeah, it's like, how
low
lame do you think my
turnout.
party's gonna be? No one's gonna show up, and I'm just gonna sad eat this the whole time.
Okay, so I want to, we'll keep going, but I want to talk about like this data, because I think we're talking about the current data print, at least in terms of the GDP, and seeing that there's a lot of volatility and a lot of uncertainty in it. And we know that the Federal Reserve claims to be very data dependent. I have very strong opinions about why that can't possibly be true. Um, but how does the Fed, okay, let me ask you this. I'll ask you the question I asked you last week. Where's my fucking data? What are we getting this week? Are we getting
Soon
anything?
trademark.
There's a bunch of stuff that was said we're never getting. What's going on there?
Well, we
Well,
did get some last week, right? We got the prior like NFP report that we weren't expecting to get, I think.
Yeah, I thought I saw something about
Um
that, but I wasn't sure if that was an actual NFP or if that was just like an S&P or some, ADP or something like that. But
I think we have some
they printed
September
it because it was good, right?
I think we have September retail sales coming this week. Maybe September PPI. We should get November CB, which is the Conference Board Consumer Confidence. And then I think we get like September durable goods. And we get the beige book.
I mean, none of this is really eliciting confidence in me. We're getting shit from September,
Mm-hmm.
and then the stuff that
In
sounds a little bit
November. We
more,
should be getting
yeah,
October right
right, and the
now.
stuff that sounds a little bit more current seems like stuff that's really soft data anyway, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I think at this point, September PPI is soft data.
so what is a data dependent Fed to do at the next meeting?
Let me ask you this: is the Fed really data dependent? Like, I know they lean on that. They
You
say
know
they
what
are.
my answer is.
But I really feel like at this point,
Emphatically,
and I
yes.
almost
Yeah.
replied to Claudia Sam today too, because I saw her commentary. Is the Fed really working to control rates at the long end? Because they've lost control of that, right? Like they've capitulated that they've ceded control of the long end to the prime dealers in the treasury market, essentially, and foreign investors and foreign banks, right? They've ceded control entirely on the long end by lowering rates at all. Um, and then, so what are they doing now? They're just fighting over the cost of capital. That's it. That's all I'm really getting out of this. Like the Fed cuts, who gives a shit, right? All that matters is that there's sufficient liquidity in the system to support an increased cost of capital. Because if there isn't, everything's gonna fucking blow up. So
That's it.
you've got one thing on the Fed agenda every month right now, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. It's either quantitative nothing or quantitative easing. And J-Power already moved us out of tightening, right? We're no longer tightening. We're rolling over just a little bit every month into the treasury
I
to
would argue we've been
keep some
easing the
liquidity.
entire time, but sure.
Yeah, okay. But now we've got so much more on the table. Last end of October, we saw a significant amount of tightening in credit, right? We saw the SOFR IORB spread blow out. We saw these CDSs run up. We know there's tons of issuance coming out for corporate debt. And some of that issuance demanding higher yields. Now the treasury is really not competitive with that. So if you're looking somewhere to put your money long term, are you going to pick Apple's balance sheet or the United States? And then when that's the question being asked, when the security of a large corporation is more of a guarantee than the security of the nation state in which it is housed, how can we viably offer rates so low and still expect to find buyers for our debt? And if there are no buyers for our debt, then the liquidity of those markets is going to tank. Dealers aren't going to hold the inventory because the volatility risk of carrying it is too high. And so without getting too far into the weeds, we have that risk. We have Japan, who has they've just done approved a significant amount of stimulus, which they now have to finance, and their rates are higher on the top end of the curve than they've been for the last 30 years. And this changes structurally the entire dynamic of the cost of capital in global markets. This is every single portfolio in the world is balanced off this fucking idea that you can get free money out of Japan. And Japan has gone everywhere else in the world with their money to get yield, but now their domestic yields are higher. And we're going to see that money, regardless of a rate cut, we're going to see that money flow back to Japan. And that is trillions of dollars. They are the world's largest foreign holder of US debt. And it is now has a negative cost to carry. All of that fucking debt, it has a negative cost to carry.
That sounds
start
fine.
getting
It sounds like
flooded
something
by,
we'll be able to float through Christmas, right? We're gonna still have a good Christmas for everyone.
I mean, what dates? Wait, hold on. What date's the Japan decision?
I don't know. Aren't they talking about doing some more stimulus?
They are. They
Yeah.
already approved a block of it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if they cut, right?
Yeah.
So December looks like their date of the meeting is December 18th. So no, they might just in fact ruin Christmas.
Yeah. I said on Twitter the other day, the market has a chance to do the funniest thing this Friday. And
What's
nobody
that?
knew what I was talking about, but I thought it was a funny joke. Black Friday on Black Friday.
Oh, Black Friday is the Friday after Thanksgiving.
That's this Friday.
Yeah.
That's what he's
That's
talking
this
about.
Friday.
Ah,
Yeah. That
Black
would be
Friday
like,
sale on equities.
everybody says like you can only crash when nobody expects it. Nobody ever expects the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody would actually expect the market to crash on Black Friday. That would be ridiculous.
What if Powell and
The
Udo
seasonality wouldn't allow it.
shift rates?
What?
What if Powell cuts? Right, the Fed split. Like if you listen to the Fed talkers, it's like 7-5.
They're running
right
around
now.
with the heads cut off.
And then like with Cook being like taken to court, she might just vote against Trump anyway. And that makes it a 6-6 decision, which forces the Fed to revote, which they haven't done since the 80s. But if the Fed does cut,
yeah, but can't Moran
and
do like a super
and
cut?
then Ueda hikes,
Yeah, we're just snapping the spread shut.
just
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
that
why I
would
think
be
cutting
great.
is bearish. Well, one of the few.
I mean, I've always
reasons that
thought cutting was bearish.
They're
So have
they're
you,
closing.
in fact.
Well, yeah. So closing the door on free money with no duration risk. That's just net bearish. It just is. There's no, to me at least. I mean, I don't think anybody's having any trouble finding any fucking money for any stupid shit. Just go look at all the AI, penises that people are building. Who can build the biggest AI penis in Texas? Requires an insane amount of capital, so much money that nobody even knows where it's even going to come from. But nobody's stopped. Well, they're now starting to get a little bit apprehensive, which is why I'm very interested because rates on all these bonds are rising. But I want to pivot a little bit to Bitcoin. And the reason that I want to pivot there is because we're talking about like how easy it is to get capital. And I don't know how aware people are, but Bitcoin actually is, being leveraged into, it's actually I'll say this, it's much more deeply integrated into the AI boom story than people realize, in terms of not only are the people who are doing things like creating strategic Bitcoin reserves and all of that, and building, big, Bitcoin mining facilities. A lot of those people are also people who are involved in the build out for AI and who are involved in financing some of the things that are happening in the build out in AI. And so I'm wondering, how much is Bitcoin kind of part of the larger trend of, rates on these bonds are going up. Bitcoin is having trouble. It's struggling, right? There is a collapse in the easy money that's coming from Bitcoin that is very closely tied to AI, which seems to be running out of runway a little bit. Is what's happening in Bitcoin, is this systemic? Is it going to continue? Is it something that they can catch and recover from? Is this a one-off? What's going on there?
Well, I mean, what you're saying makes sense, but I mean, I can't really say that Bitcoin is like full on routing yet. I mean, it's a pullback, but Bitcoin's always been very highly volatile. I wouldn't even really necessarily consider this the start of a crypto winter until Bitcoin's probably below like $78,000, and stays below there. But what's it at as we speak right now?
It's around 87.
So,
Yeah, it's been going up all day. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Any other? Because I have some
Well,
thoughts.
I mean, it's volatile, and yeah, the drop was definitely. I think that the drop was definitely some fear that we've been seeing elsewhere as well. So
I think I've very much enjoyed watching Michael Saylor panic on X all weekend. He has posted some of the most obscenely obnoxious and stupid shit that I've seen out of a financial professional or CEO of a company, well, since GME.
Since
And
Campbell's soup earlier at the intro.
well, hold on, that wasn't the CEO of Campbell's
That
Soup.
was a VP. I couldn't
But
find which VP it was.
I mean, at the end of the day, all I have to say about Saylor and Bitcoin is that in April of 2024, when MSTR was sky high, Michael Saylor, for about 10 or 11 consecutive days, sold shares of his ownership in a giant pile of Bitcoin for US dollars.
Yeah.
Fiat dollars. He took those fiat dollars and he put them in his pocket. And that's all.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
He didn't go out and look for someone to buy his shares with Bitcoin. I wonder why.
That's very fair. So I'll give you a couple. I don't want to call it technical analysis, but Dork and I put together a tweet storm. I guess we'll call it that last night. Just kind of going through like what we saw in the options chain for IBIT, because that options chain is fairly notable. I mean, it's tens of billions of dollars usually, which given a market cap of what 1 trillion plus on Bitcoin, it's not massive, but it's not nothing. I think you have to look at it in terms of what it could be signaling, what market participants are hoping for or positioning for in the future. And so the first thing is, if I've looked at the assets under management and the flows on all of the ETFs for Bitcoin since they started in Jan 2024, and their all-in average price right now is about 80.8, which they tapped like overnight last night, I think. I'm in the way wrong spot. But yeah, they went down to 80.6, and then they bounced. So they went right down to that average. So somebody knew, right? Once you go down and then the average person holding something in a Bitcoin ETF is now negative. They wanted to prevent that. So we got our bounce. We'll see how long that lasts. But I mean, we're not the only people that know that that's the line in this. That is a line in the sand. But if you look at the options chain, the options chain really kind of looks like maybe it got caught off guard, but it's not capitulating by any stretch of the imagination. So I do think we're in a little bit of a diamond hands are going to see how far they can recover this right now. How much
Diamond hands them by the dip.
Yeah, how successful that's going to be, I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't think it's unreasonable. I think Dork and I kind of concluded that a 96 test wouldn't be unreasonable. But at the same time, we'll see. If they don't make it to 96, I would be really concerned. If it turns itself around before then, that's not looking great. But and you can go find well, if Ron does his job even half worth, anything, he'll put it in the notes. He'll find my tweet. And he'll put it in the notes, but he probably won't because he sucks. We love you, Ron. All right. I think that's enough to talk about Bitcoin because let's move on. The only other thing I have on market overview is AI. I do have Ukraine and Russia, but I think we agreed that none of us have anything worthwhile to say about that. But here's your chance.
Ukraine, Russia, like the proposed deal. It affects oil markets. I guess things like Schlumberger, Hal, those are highly affected, obviously, because if embargoes continue on Russian oil, then there's going to be more infrastructure build out for extraction elsewhere in the world. So they're very sensitive to that. Obviously, oil price is somewhat sensitive, but there's such a supply glut that from OPEC, overproduction, that I don't really know if it matters that much on the oil front. I mean, obviously, politically, it could have huge ramifications if Ukraine cedes a warm water port to Russia. That's a pretty big, geopolitical risk. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I think it's fair to know like where
Arms dealers. I'm sorry, defense contractors.
Yeah, they're not warlords, okay?
I said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, we'll address that one of our user questions later on, or a user submitted question. We'll address that comment, I'm sure.
That's my job.
But let's move into AI because NVIDIA had earnings and I win. I won the stupid
win.
bet. A half
Woo.
win.
Half win.
I half won the stupid bet,
Half
which
win
is
for a half
more than
win.
you guys
Ha.
won the stupid bet. So I win
I
the
mean,
stupid
technically,
prize. Don't you technically me right now?
down the next day.
Well,
so,
sure.
I mean, I will say this: my calls and puts on NVIDIA printed.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So beat and raise.
what's that?
I don't know if you guys listened to the call, but
Yeah, I did.
I did too. The
Yeah.
questions.
As much as I could before they kept saying AI so much. I
Oh,
wanted
well,
to shoot
sure. I
myself.
mean, you turn the call on and you wait for the questions, right? Because they're just
Yeah.
gonna talk their book. We've all heard about sovereign AI, super whatever the fuck,
Gigafactories.
cac factory, yeah, cuckeries.
Yeah.
But
Where they
the
crank the soft goods.
they crank them. Yes, they're cranked. But the questions at the the questions at the end of the earnings were, I thought, quite interesting. People were asking some questions that I think if they asked them a year ago, like Jensen would have actually sent somebody to their office to guillotine them, and nobody would have cared because they were not questions you ask when you're super bullish about the future. So I think we're kind of hitting a point where, hey, there's, we can't just rely on free cash flow from the hyperscalers anymore. We're going to have to put up some real cash and really put some skin in the game here, more than we even have already. And your numbers just seem like they don't make sense, and you're not really giving us a lot of clarity on where your expectations are coming from and what your expectations, what are your assumptions, right? I think that is where NVIDIA is really struggling, is that people are kind of not believing their implicit assumptions that they're baking into their future revenues story anymore. I don't know. Do you think I'm off base here, or?
I don't think so. I mean, I've been watching a lot of Ozark lately, and all I'm going to say is I've been noticing some things that seem rather parallel to each other. Like reimbursing somebody to go to your casino to gamble away their life savings, that kind of thing. Right?
Okay.
Did anybody
so
ask
hold on.
Jensen?
When Jensen says, "I don't know shit about fuck," is that when it's over? Sorry, that's you might not have gotten to that point in Ozark yet, but that's
I don't know shit about fuck.
Might be.
Ron, look it up. Anyway, what were you saying, Gherk?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did any of those analysts ask Jensen why they're channel stuffing so hard?
They alluded to it, yes. They
Interesting.
did ask a question about So the way it was asked was, what was their strategy for investing in all of these AI companies that they're investing? And I don't think that they were satisfied with the answer. Well, because I mean, you just look at the response the next day. But
I mean, if account receivables is growing faster than revenue, uh, how how do you how are they defending that? They're shipping more than they have orders for, claiming it as revenues. I mean,
Look, Gherk, they have so much demand, okay, that they just are actually shipping things more slowly now because of all this demand.
well, that was another
Okay?
interesting thing. Michael Burry's just like
well, they're
fully
out
back into
supposedly.
degen
That was like,
mode.
he's what?
He's fully back into degen mode. He started up a Substack. He's just like back in the trenches.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, he's
He
going
does.
back to his
I think he just
roots.
doesn't want to manage people's
Yeah,
capital
that
anymore.
seems to be what it is.
He never liked to.
He's like, come to my Substack. Like, let's get dirty.
Yeah, well, because like, I mean, I think this is something people don't know about Burry is that he really just doesn't like dealing with clients. And when you work in, that kind of business where you're running, a capital group or a hedge fund or something like that, most of your job is dealing with your clients. You buy a thing, you give them a thesis, their money goes into it, and then they spend every fucking day they're not like seeing a patient or out at a company dinner calling you and going, why is my stock down? Why is my stock up? Are you going to sell? Is this the top? And kind of like my stream, right? No different, but you're actually accountable to these people.
Windmoon.
And I think Burry's always just hated that. So he was like, you know what? I see a really valid reason why all of these AI companies are massively overvalued. I'm going to take my money and I'm going to go short the fuck out of them and not answer to anybody.
I would be inclined to agree with you. I don't know if I would have agreed with you a week or two ago, but I'm kind of in your boat too.
Honestly,
He
I
seems to
think
be
that
torqued up, if I could say that. Torqued up.
I have for a long time been a big fan of not Michael J. Burry as a person because he's an awful person, but the way he thinks about things is has always been fascinating to me. And I at one point when I was younger, I went back and I found all of his forum threads and read through every investment thesis the man ever had. And the everyone gives, like, he's always a big town crier, doomsayer, makes everyone sad about things. And so the general sentiment towards him is negative
they
because
call that a buzzkill.
yeah, he is a big buzzkill. And he always says it when everyone's most elated and things are just going great. And he just says
Yeah.
the things that
That
just
might be the
shit on everyone's
Asperger's.
parade. And the problem, though, is that he's usually fucking right.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he's really bad at timing the market, exceptionally bad at it, which, I mean, was baked into The Big Short, right? Like, he was just,
Yeah.
paying fucking money on those CDS as they got cheaper and cheaper over the next like 3 years because he saw a problem in the pipeline that the market didn't even know was going to be a problem years in advance of
Yeah.
it actually happening. I think there was like one other like economist from India who may have stumbled on it before him. And that was while doing research into all these MBS. And and all of his theses have always been like that. If you look back when he invested in GME and when he got out of GME, when he invested in what was that prison stock that he was all about because America was going to fall apart and everybody was going to go to prison.
Oh, Geo?
Yeah, Geo. And the funny thing is they started making like the house arrest bands. that like alert the police when you leave your home if you're under house arrest. And they started making a shitload of revenues off of that. The stock went up like 1,100%. Burry's just not often wrong. And when he's long stocks, he's really, really good at making those bets because you can just accumulate and sit on it.
Yeah.
Right. The risk, there's no risk in doing that. But when he makes contrarian bets, he's
Thanks,
also
Federal
right.
Reserve.
It's just the timing of the market when you make a contrarian bet is working against you. And so, you know, if people gave some time, they would realize like the things Burry's saying aren't bullshit. He's not just spouting this information. These are factual statements that he's making about the you know the use case on these chips and these data centers that are 6 years old, and they're consuming 6 times the amount of power that the current generation of chips are using. And these are not profitable because the current chips aren't fucking profitable, and they're 100 times more
That's
efficient.
illegal. You can't say that.
You know, and so you know that, and you know all of this channel stuffing that we're seeing in this you know AI capital circle jerk.
It's not channel stuffing; it's investment.
It's channel stuffing. It's like, you know what? It's not even. It's
getting
like
high
textbook,
on your own supply.
It's like textbook channel stuffing, and it's like exactly all the excuses I've heard are the exact same shit that people were saying about companies during the .com bubble that were also channel stuffing. It's the exact same things people said about Bristol Myers Squibb when they beat and exceeded earnings for 2 years, despite, you know, not actually ever beating any of their earnings. And it's just, the question is, how long are they going to do it for, right? Like, channel stuffing isn't illegal. It's just very frowned upon because you're deceiving your investors.
Sure.
Right. And you're really not, because if they dug in, they would be like, oh man, accounts receivable is growing at a way faster rate than revenues. That's weird. Right. But no one wants to talk about that.
Nobody cares about that as long as Nvidia's market cap is growing at the same rate as GDP.
But at the same time, someone's looking at that and going, fuck no, because Nvidia opened the day after their spectacular earnings and fell off a cliff.
Immaculate earnings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right
back to where they started.
It was the typical NVIDIA AI earnings too. It was like so like on point. Like I was there was like so little like anything that could give you any inkling of sadness besides AR being fucking through the roof.
I'll tell you what the inkling of sadness was, and then we can move on, because I'm sure few people love to talk about AI as much as us. But the sadness, I think, came from how stale the language was in the conference call, right? I mean, like, Sovereign AI Superfactory was kind of novel and provocative and things before, but now it's just like, it's because it hasn't evolved over the last 2 years or so. It's starting to turn into a word salad, and people are starting to say, like, wait a minute, you've been saying a lot of these words that were getting us excited before, but you're still saying the same words. We're not really seeing, like, what is the grand transformation, right?
What is it?
Well, sure, what is it? But so I think the buzzkill part of it was in how stale the story is getting stale. And as people are looking for like the next leg in this, they want to know what's the next part of the story. And there isn't really one. And so they're all starting to ask questions of, like, you know, how much like, is your investing channel stuffing, which was not something they would have even dared to ask 2 years ago, right?
Well, so JFresh, I just want to say though, so you're saying that much like Elon was doing with self-driving, they need to find their Optimus.
Right. Well, Elon is smart in the sense that he kind of knows that self-driving is not working. You can only promise self-driving and fail to deliver on it for apparently 9 years or so. Which he got a lot of mileage out of that. Like, that was pretty fantastic mileage he got out of that lie. But he's basically taking that, what people aren't, the dots that people aren't connecting is he's taking that failed framework that failed to produce self-driving, and he's applying that to robots. And it will fail, just like self-driving failed.
He's going to get 9 years out of
But
that bad boy.
people don't realize that it is as much of a waste of time. It is as much of a bankrupt idea as self-driving because it's actually the same idea. He's applying the same computational methods that failed to produce self-driving to robots, and it will fail to generalize those, right? I don't want to go in, I don't want to opine too much about that, but, coming back to like the AI story, there's a question here of China disrupting chip marketplace, right? I mean, yeah, they tried to pump the markets on Friday with, Trump might allow H200s to be sold in China. Doesn't matter. China doesn't want them.
Yeah.
Xi Jinping already said, don't buy them. Nobody in their fucking, right mind is going to touch an H200. They also have never had an issue getting them at all, ever. And I think that's been very clear. And so, and I think the market started to see through that, be like, hey, like, are you just trying to sell us a bill of goods? Are you trying to just pump us? And so I do think that the narrative is shifting and it's starting to become more fearful of like, hey, things aren't going up quite like they were before. What are we actually doing here? What's the game plan? What's the roadmap? The thing I asked for 3 years ago that nobody's still come up with.
I think I actually put together like a list of things that I would be looking for to see if this is starting to kind of crack.
All right, give us that list and then we'll move on. You get the last word.
All right.
I'm going to go get
Well-
more wine, so talk for a while.
All right. So I think the major hyperscaler and OEM earnings, listening to their phrasing regarding AI infra is going to be really important. So phrases like, AI capex growth is going to moderate while we, assess existing assets, or AI revenue growth is decelerating versus capex. Or, things are really bad if people are saying we have excess GPU capacity, which we kind of heard out of Microsoft this last quarter. Or we're slowing or pausing GPU orders, or we are going to be repurposing AI capacity. That's when, things are starting to get kind of bad. And I think on the NVIDIA side of that, something to watch is if accounts receivables are growing materially faster than revenue over the next couple of quarters, or if we see days sales outstanding up 10 to 20% over the current baseline, or any spike in accounts receivable. So if accounts receivables spikes versus, sales multiples, that won't even need to be multiple quarters in a row. That'll have probably an almost immediate realized effect. If people see that the pipeline, like, or the channel stuffing is, is starting to fall apart. And I think the point of risk in all of this is actually going to be like the vendor financing on things like CoreWeave, where you have these vendors that have taken on debt that is primarily backed by their ownership of chips that they financed, right? So they've financed an H100 and then they've taken a loan against that H100. Yep. Dork's doing the thing with his hands that I want to say. And I think if we start to see any,
that's not suggestive at all.
I think if we see
Don't stop, Dork.
I think if we see any failures in those companies, right? Any restructuring or default or sell off of assets, as if NVIDIA's growth starts to slow and we see them start to increase the number
I bet
of
you'll see AR
financing and
go up.
equity deals,
AR will go
Yeah.
up if that happens. I
AR is going to
guarantee it.
spike
Yeah.
super hard. Yeah, that's why I said AR first.
Yeah.
If NVIDIA, and this is the big one I'm looking for, because I like the way Jensen does things, and the first thing I think he's going to do, and this is the signal, I think, like the penultimate signal for all of this falling apart, is NVIDIA guarantees or backstops customer GPU purchase obligations.
They've already started doing that.
Have they?
Yeah.
When?
They've started guaranteeing purchasing cloud compute from various folks.
I need to get me some cloud compute. Shit.
So like I think CoreWeave's one of them. So like if they don't sell a certain amount of cloud compute, NVIDIA will buy it. They've like guaranteed that they'll buy a certain amount of it. That's already happening. Yeah.
Really?
Which is why the questions
Are you
starting.
shitting me?
I'm not kidding. Go look it up. Which is why the questions are starting to get a little bit more not belligerent, but more poignant on the earnings calls.
But my questions would be, if I knew that, my questions would be far more than poignant.
But they won't let you on the call. I have tried to get them to accept a call from Dickbutt LLC because they require you to like log in with like credentials every time for some reason.
Isn't Dickbutt LLC managed by Dickathy Buddington?
Yes, Dickathy Buddington owns Dickbutt LLC. They will not accept a question for me, and I feel attacked. Anyway, okay, so the only other thing I'll say about AI real quickly, there's been some chatter about Google trains Gemini 3 completely with their own TPUs, which is a tensor processing unit, I believe is what they call it. And a question then is that going to start to spook people? It certainly helped Google's stock price over the last, week at least. I think, and to their credit, Google
did that help Google's stock price, or did Warren Buffett buying a shitload of Google
I think it was a little bit of
Google's
both. Honestly, if gun to my head, I probably couldn't tell you what weight I'd put on both, but both of those things happening at the same time have sort of rocketed Google. I think somewhat to the expense of others, right? I think Microsoft and Meta recently got downgraded by someone notable, which I thought was quite strange because everything's still kind of going up. So I think.
Have you seen their CDS?
Yeah. I mean, that has to be why, right?
Yeah.
Because sell side responds to what the market does. It doesn't predict. They are salesmen.
Lagging.
Yeah.
It's a lagging. Yeah. It's a lagging signal.
But I think it's interesting that they came out and did it, right? They feel scared that if they don't get in front of that a little bit, that, they're going to. Ron, I swear to God, if you're typing to tell me to go forward, to go ahead, because we're running over. Is that what you're doing?
Oh God, is he about to
Don't
play a
look at me.
commercial?
Okay, sorry.
Oh God.
Yeah, I promise we're gonna move it. We're farther ahead than you might think, so I'm gonna skip a bunch of stuff that you wrote. Because you're a terrible producer. No, I'm kidding. He told me I should do this bit and be mean to him, but we love Ron. So I think also. No way we aren't getting to 2 hours. I will get you under 2 hours. All right,
I'll
so
end this thing right now.
Yeah, we'll end it right now.
Final word on AI before we move on.
Yeah, no, we'll Google. So with Google, the question is are they going to disrupt the NVIDIA story? I don't know. I mean, DeepSeek didn't really. We thought it would, right? DeepSeek came out and
Is there a
basically
story to
said,
disrupt? It disrupts itself.
well, okay, but like, does
It's a
it derail it
self-disrupting prophecy.
early? Right? I mean, I think everybody knows it can't last forever, but DeepSeek came out and basically said, we've got these great scores on all these, worthless tests, whatever, right? They're all still enamored by tests that mean nothing, right? We all agree that the tests that children take, the standardized tests that they take are worthless, but somehow the standardized tests that all the AI takes are, the gold standard. But anyway, DeepSeek came out and said we're getting great test results, and we cost 10% of what everybody else costs. It didn't matter, right? Nobody cared because it's not about the quality of the output. The quality of the output is dog shit, right? People hate this stuff. It doesn't work. Unless you are, and if you think it works, you should schedule an appointment with your doctor, preferably a psychiatrist if you can get access to one, but a general practitioner can get you going. You are you are currently developing psychosis if you think that AI is outputting something that's valuable.
But
Anyway,
JFresh, hold on.
no.
I've been promised by every expert in the AI space for the last year that not only was AI outputting phenomenal things, but that it was also a risk to humanity.
Oh my God. We could maybe talk about that another time, but that has a whole other thing that happened this week in terms of risk, the rhetoric around the
Are
risk.
they spinning up the God thesis again?
Well, you can have a delusion about AI, both pro and con. And so both
Interesting.
sides are losing their minds thinking about how powerful AI is, both pro and against. It's a chatbot, folks. Chill out. You don't have to
I wonder
kill
if
each other.
it'll
Please don't
randomly
kill each
suggest
other.
a nuclear code.
Okay. So anyway, I don't
Does
think
that.
that the Google story, given that the DeepSeek story didn't unravel everything, I don't think the Google story is going to be it. I think there's going to have to be something else where it signals that the dance is ending, right?
You've already said what it is.
Telling
It's
Sam
when
Altman no.
Yeah, exactly.
According to
Yeah, but
Bloomberg,
Sam Altman's being told no right now in
according to
the bond
Bloomberg,
market.
Chinese models have closed the gap
The
because
gap of what?
GPT
What is the gap?
03 and GPT 5 are the same. And China's moonshot Kimi K2 is apparently just about equivalent to GPT 5.
I will agree with them in that they are all worthless.
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say
That's
the
what
gap.
this
There was
chart
no
tells me.
gap. There's no gap
But
to
they
close.
do have an artificial analysis intelligence index available only to those on Bloomberg, obviously.
And I will say, as somebody who's very critical about AI and talks about AI delusion syndrome and AI psychosis, I screwed around. I got a free month of ChatGPT 5 and 5.1 plus. I hit that thing hard. I probably cost them like $250 in chats.
Yeah.
I think I was up to like 3 hours a day at one point. With
I
this
just
thing.
tell it to write me scripts for 4-hour-long movies, and then I just leave it in the background.
No, I was actually asking it real questions that I had about, problems that I wanted to solve in my professional life. And I'm going to have to say, like, I could feel the psychosis coming on. It's a very interesting phenomenon that I'm not sure I'm ready to really like flesh out and understand, but I could feel it happening to me. And there was a point at which it went from a building psychosis to a disillusionment when I actually had to try to like get all this shit to like verify that it was correct. And then all the mistakes started becoming apparent. But I have the background to catch the mistakes. And that's sort of when I kind of like came off that cliff. And then I was like, all right, I need to just fucking stop using this thing. It's a waste of time. But I could see it. I could kind of see it. It definitely speaks to you in a way that I can understand why there's so many people who are like think that they're coming up with new physics and things, because it definitely strings you along that way. Anyway,
Well,
all of
it
that to
strings you
say,
along, but
It's
then it
like the
makes you
ultimate.
mental dependent.
It's the ultimate simp.
Well, it's
You know,
not just a
every
simp
idea
though.
you have, it will make its number one priority proving your idea correct, even if it's verifiably false.
Well, it's even worse than that, right? It's because one, it doesn't actually have any intent, but
Yeah.
two, what'll end up happening to you personally, right? And this is something you get this learned dependence, right? And so if you depend on these things enough, and to the point where you don't really know or care if they're right or wrong, you basically are just consulting an oracle, right? And that was what I think JFresh was probably starting to feel was like, the chatbot's got to come up with the answer eventually, right? I just got to ask the oracle the right way. I got to sacrifice the right goat. I
yeah,
got to.
it's like,
Yeah, but
well,
then
my
you're
thinking was,
also
okay, so
you're
my
also
thinking
asking a
was,
sycophantic oracle.
right. But
It's
my
not, yeah.
thinking was, okay, there are problems that I'm trying to solve that have very similar conditions to other problems I know that have been solved, and a lot of them 100 years ago in papers that are really hard to understand just because people talked weird back then, right? Um, and so you're just kind of like, okay, well, I kind of, you solved, we know that there's a solution for this, but what if I just change it a little bit, add this in here and there? Can you find a solution to that? And you end up with weird things where it's like, okay, you came up with a solution. Now let's code it. Then we code it, and you run the script. It doesn't work, right? You hit errors. That's fine. Oh, you need to flip. You have a row matrix. You need it to be a column matrix. You didn't. That's fine, right? But you get all that worked out, and then you get an answer, and it doesn't make sense physically. And so then you're trying to figure out where are the issues inside of this solution, and you think, oh, you're using a negative for this term. I think it should be a positive. And that's where things start going off the rails, because you're like, okay, I think that you put a negative here and it should be a positive. And what does it want to do? It wants to validate you. It says, oh, you're so right. Like,
Great catch.
great catch. You found that I accidentally put a negative here and it should have been a positive. And so then they change it to a positive, but that doesn't fix the problem,
Yeah,
because that wasn't what was wrong. And so then you're trying to screw around with all this other stuff, and you have this positive. And then you come back later and be like, I think I was wrong. I think I thought it should have been a positive, but it actually should have been a negative. And then it starts fighting you. It's like, no, it should be a positive. And here's why. Here's all the reasons why. Like you think it should be negative, but it actually is positive, and here's why. And it actually is negative. Like the answer
wasn't
is,
there a paper a while back that showed that like the like the deeper the thread went, focused on like a single task, the more like delusional the AI became and the more random its answers.
it definitely gets
So
stuck.
like I remember there
Yeah.
being like there was like a paper that showed that like the accuracy was super high if you just asked it one question, got one response, right? Like simple question, simple response, pretty good. But then like the more you added layers to the initial question, the more and more incorrect the outputs would become.
That's just model
So
collapse, isn't it?
no.
Yeah.
So I'll say it's something a little slightly different. I don't think it's necessarily model collapse, which is something a little different. What I think is happening is it gets stuck in local minima and maximas in its training corpus and its weights, right? And so you speak to it in a certain way,
No.
and it's path dependent, right? Its answers are path dependent. So you get it in to go down one path, and then it sort of gets stuck. And so I did find myself, like, when I was asking I would get to points where I thought, like, all right, this whole chat is kind of gone off the rails too much. I'm just going to start over. I'm going to take my same prompt. I'm going to change a couple things here and there, stuff that I kind of learned
You're gonna
along the
consult the
way.
oracle slightly differently.
Right. And I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to start fresh. And usually, if it went off on a whole different path, then it was like, but that's the problem, right? You're like, oh, it's trying a different path now. And so now you follow that one. And that one is probably not the solution you want. It gets stuck in another local minimum or local maximum. And you just end up wasting all this time. And I just felt like at the end of it, and I want to talk about this because I want people to know that I'm not just shitting on this because I'm anti-AI. I have tried this technology, in good faith. And this is like, by the end of it, I went from probably a week or maybe a week and a half into it, I felt like this is awesome. And by week 3 and maybe into week 4, I was like, I need to stop using this. I've wasted so much time. And I just need to cancel my subscription. So I went through like, I almost got, I almost got AIDS. I almost got AI delusion syndrome. I almost gave myself AIDS. And luckily
That's
I
called
got
a
out of it.
good faith
Anyway,
effort, JFresh.
I would just like everybody to know that I'm not talking out of my ass. I think I'm asking good questions and I think I'm right. And I gave it a good faith effort to make sure I wasn't wrong. And I came out of it the other side more confident than ever that this is a parlor trick and it is going to
But hold on, what
collapse.
about all the papers that OpenAI
Those are not papers.
funds and publishes?
Putting it on archive is not. No. They're
Are you
doing
saying that
that.
there's
They're
no?
doing that to virtue signal.
Are you
They're
saying there's no
scientists because
rigor
they're
in
writing
any of these?
papers by publishing them on non-peer-reviewed archives where anybody can publish anything. Doesn't mean shit. Anyway,
I just wanted to set you off about rigor and
that's enough.
peer review.
The word rigor, honestly, it's my current favorite word. Anyway, all right, enough about AI. People are already they've already fallen asleep. They're never coming back.
Eyes are fully glazed over.
Let's move quickly into earnings this week. It's a short week. Are there any earnings that you think are notable that you want to talk about?
I mean, Dell because of AI.
Autodesk because of AI.
God damn it.
Well, it's the OEMs, right? We got to get the other piece of the SMCI puzzle.
You can't get away from it.
Yep, you can't.
Zoom because of AI.
Zoom because of AI.
Zoom's got an AI helper that
John Deere because of AI.
Autodesk because of AI. Has John Deere added AI to their tractors to lock farmers out of the equipment they've bought?
God damn it.
Yeah, you got to go Burlington because of AI, Abercrombie and Fitch because of AI.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about Kohl's? Do they have AI?
AI.
I mean, if they don't, why don't they? And will they? Are they going to announce their move to AI at earnings?
What is the Kohl's AI strategy?
And I can tell you that ChatGPT can run an entire Kohl's all by itself.
Hold on.
That's not
I know
saying
that's
much,
a lie because you get all your clothes from Costco.
I do. But I go to Kohl's to return the shit I buy on Amazon.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. So that's earnings. Short week. Don't forget, get your turkeys. Thursday is Turkey Day.
Yeah, we got retail. We got retail earnings.
Make sure to keep your turkeys frozen when submerging them in hot oil.
Oh yeah. Completely
very frozen.
Best results.
Yeah.
That's how you get the crispiest skin.
That's how you get the biggest explosion. I mean, the crispiest skin. Yeah.
I said it right the first time.
There's one weirdo.
Skin?
I didn't say the turkey got the crispiest skin.
There's one weirdo that's doing earnings on Friday. Hopefully Friday morning. Chaggy?
Yeah.
Chaggy?
Shaggy? I don't know.
Chaggy?
Ron will figure out how it's pronounced and put it in the notes, I'm sure.
Right.
It's so
Chaggy. It wasn't me.
All right. We already talked about the calendar. Do we need to say anything else? Let's move on.
Nah. Well, I mean, it seems like we should probably have our dickhead producer run an ad because he's been dying to this whole time.
He wants to run this ad. Ads. All he has to do is run this ad and then he can go to bed. He doesn't have to be here for the rest of this. He's literally here just to run an ad.
Do options Greeks just sound like Greek to you?
We haven't even come to a
Check out our free learning materials at app.gammastrike.com/docs to get a better understanding of how to understand market maker behavior.
Shut the fuck up.
I love the music. Where did you get that music, Rod? Can you just, I know you're afraid to speak.
Yeah, which Zen Garden soundtrack did you rip that off of?
Right, is that from a Yanni cassette?
Is it AI?
Is it just you strumming the wind chimes in your sunroom?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I did write the docs. I have a couple of gems in there. I think you'll enjoy it.
I heard not only did you write the docs, but you were updating them.
Oh yeah, they'll be updated soon. Once we get some updated pictures, but they're mostly up to date. It's just some of the tools need to make sure that they're as up to date as possible.
Yeah.
All right, Dork, do you want to get us through our audience questions? We have some.
Yeah, sure. So first question, everyone's wondering, JFresh, what's it gonna take to see your beautiful bearded face?
$10 million.
Okay,
That's
how
so
close are we?
cheap.
We're like 1% of the way there? Half a percent?
More. Well, I'll do it. I'll do it for $10 million.
I
Okay.
wouldn't. Let me just tell the audience that I have seen JFresh's face, and you will be sorely disappointed in your purchase.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys expect.
It's not
Just
great.
take
No.
it down a notch.
You guys sound like my wife.
Damn. Okay, so we did have.
Let me know when she gets her Kanye West Labubu that I
If
sent.
you actually sent that, that would be hilarious, but also fuck you.
That's going on the mantle, all right, Gherk?
I want JFresh to wake up every morning and see Kanye West in a Labubu.
Is he wearing like that big like box outfit in front of the one?
It's literally somebody screen printed Kanye West's face to a Labubu. So it's got the full fursuit and claws, but just Kanye West's face right in the middle of it. And I thought, I could send JFresh his GammaStrike hat, or I could send his wife a Kanye West Labubu.
Yes, that and I'm pretty sure this was actually Gherk's move against JFresh for the hammer strategy that we haven't put in place, where we're going to throw hammers at Gherk's head until he's mentally unfit to run the company. So
no,
we
we
can take it
can't
from
do
him.
that because
And he's trying to break. He's trying to break JFresh's marriage.
Okay.
Or make him quit.
No, you're not understanding. I was putting out that hypothetical to make our operating agreement stronger so that
Our
I would
lawyer was not entertained, although I was.
So that I would not be incentivized to beat this man into like cognitive decline. Not to death. To cognitive decline, so you were not fit to run a company. I was trying to make
now it's just in the event of my death. So instead of just mild brain damage, you guys are just going to try to kill me.
Well, I mean, that was the plan all along, but just have to speed run it.
No comment.
Yeah, sorry.
Next question.
Yeah. So another thing. So person was inquiring, like, we joke around a lot, okay? And this person was like, "Why do you think some of your listeners have problem with progressive commentary?" And honestly, like, the truth of the matter is that we're all just abrasive people, and we just say dumb shit all the time. And when we say stuff, like, we know that our listeners exist on a spectrum of different stances and opinions and views.
Intelligence.
So when we say things,
we
know
don't care
when we
about
say
any
things.
Of them.
Okay, yeah, they're all degenerates, but so when we say things that we know are clearly going to incense somebody on far end of that spectrum, we know it, and we're just pointing out that, we're going to joke and say, yeah, we just pissed off a bunch of listeners as part of the fun, because we know we say a lot of
I'll say
sure,
this,
like,
definitively, I've known JFresh for years now, and I know myself pretty well, and I think both of us are inclined to say the most offensive thing we can say to someone at any given point in time, because we find that very amusing.
It's like a tick.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't think it's voluntary.
Like, if I realize that somebody is sensitive to an issue, I'm probably going to say something terrible.
You're going to lean into it.
Yeah.
Well, because to me, the value that I find in that is it helps highlight the absurdity in any position.
Yeah.
Same.
Through
100%.
And I've found no better way to try to move the needle on the way anybody thinks about anything than through absurdly abrasive commentary about that thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I
You've
think
heard
that
some of my comments about AR-15s that I know you guys would cancel if I tried to say.
Yeah,
it.
we would definitely edit those out.
yeah,
yeah.
I think that there's a conception that we're all whatever something, but all we are is independent thinkers, and we like to make fun of everybody for everything. If you heard us back in 2022, 2023, I mean, we were shitting all over the Biden administration. So like we're shitting on everybody equally here. So we're just joking about it and saying that our more sensitive groups are going to be mad about whatever it is we just said. So there you go. It's not very complicated.
Yeah, I definitely don't have a problem with any commentary, progressive
Yeah,
or conservative or otherwise. I just have a problem with thoughtless commentary or brainless commentary, and it comes in
Yeah.
all shapes and forms. And
Yeah.
I just combat it by saying the most ridiculous thing you can think. And if it sounds ridiculous, it's probably because your
'Cause it is.
position might be a little ridiculous.
Yeah. All right, moving on, because that's
Anyway,
it's
okay.
I think it's pretty clear. But moving on, we got a lot of interest actually about from our viewer about bringing guests on.
Our beloved
Interesting.
viewer.
So Gherk really does not want to have a certain person on that I would absolutely love to have on. Because
I don't want to.
If you
Gherk's
can
the
give me-
killjoy.
Okay, what would
Hold
you
on.
talk about with this
Give
person?
me one valid reason to
His
allow him
eyes.
to advertise his next New York Times
eyes.
bestseller on here.
Look, Gherk, it's not about what you talk about, okay? Oh wait, maybe it is. Anyways, I would love to have guests on the show. I mean,
Yeah, I would too, except I hate people.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if we could actually bring someone to sit down in this show, knowing that Gherk has about an 85% chance to say something that makes them immediately leave.
Give me an example. Give me a pretend guest.
A pretend guest who's a real person or not a real person?
Real person.
All right, let's just say we
Sorkin.
brought... No, okay, yeah. Actually,
That's
yeah.
too
Let's go
easy.
for it. Let's go for Andrew Ross. No, okay. We'll go with Dan Ives.
Dan Ives. I don't know enough about Dan Ives. Is he the guy who wears the clown suits?
He's the
Yes.
clown, yeah.
Oh,
He's the court jester.
I don't know.
And he's already left.
Actually, he can come on. I don't know anything about him. I just know he wears funny outfits.
Here's the problem: is he's going to say things that are dumb, and I'm going to challenge him on
a
it.
sample. Can you give me like a sample statement?
Okay,
Like,
so
what's a Dan Ivesism?
He loves to talk about the story that's happening in something. So he'll talk about this is the next chapter in the AI story from the godfather of AI, Jensen Huang. This is 1996, not 1999. We are at 9 p.m. in the AI party, not 3 a.m. Your response.
Hold on, I'm processing.
Go and listen to anything he's ever said. What I have just said is a minor variation of everything.
I mean, I
ever
guess
come
the
out of his
first
mouth.
thing I would ask him is, how do you convince investors to take risks with statements that aren't based in any kind of fact?
Because markets go up.
Okay. Well, you can buy an index fund and capture that. So,
Well,
you
yeah.
should have heard it. You should have heard his
what's
turnaround
his
strategy
job?
for Tesla.
Does he just sell index funds?
These people get flushed out when things go south, but it's a great run for 5 to 10 years, you know.
Who does he work for? Does he work for someone? Or is he like independent?
He does. No, he works for
Is it someone shitty like Wedbush?
Yes, it actually is Wedbush.
Wait, no, seriously?
Yes.
And he's gone. He's out. He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
There goes Dan Ives.
Oh,
Sorry,
I
Dan.
love Wedbush.
Right.
No, they're the
Sorry,
best.
Dan.
They always raise their ratings after earnings.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I think it'd be fun to have on, but who probably wouldn't even say a single word is Michael Burry. He'd be fun. But there's a lot
I'd
of
love
people
to
we
talk
could
to
have on.
Burry.
Yeah, he'd be good to
we
talk
could actually talk about what's wrong with stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
guess
wouldn't
I
mind
have no
talking
problem
to what's his face, the criminal guy, the AIDS drug guy that went to
Oh
jail.
yeah,
Shkreli?
Shkreli. Yeah, Martin Shkreli.
I wouldn't mind talking to him just because he's very critical of the anti-AI like things.
He's also
And I'd just like
entertaining.
to, well, I'd just like to hear what he would have to say in a back and forth about, you know, some of the shenanigans that are going on in terms of the because he's kind of
Mr.
a
Shkreli, if
believer
you're
in the AI.
listening,
I think he has
hit
a
us up.
Shkreli startup in AI. I don't know, but at the same time, you know, he's been very critical of the quantum companies, quantum computing companies, and
He
I
probably
think
just
he's
owns
spot on
Bitcoin.
there. Yeah,
Let's see if
so
Gherk can actually piss him off enough
I'd
to
be
leave, because I
interested
think
in like,
Shkreli's pretty
but I don't
thick-skinned.
think he'd. I don't think he'd leave.
I've talked to him before. We did
Yeah.
like a fucking Twitter space on GME back in the day. I'm not a fan of his.
No.
By
I don't
any
think you need to be
means.
to have him on the show.
Yeah,
That's
but
fine.
he's, you know, he's just somebody I think I could sharpen my views on a topic with. Right? That's the whole
It would
point.
be entertaining for sure, I think, above all else. So I wouldn't mind it at all.
But the list of people that I think would elevate the discussion is pretty small.
Jensen Huang.
That's just because we think we're smarter than
Jensen
everyone
Huang
else.
would leave within 2 minutes of getting on here.
Jensen, no. He would never make it on the show. His PR reps would like.
Yeah, because my first question would
They'd
be
watch
like,
one episode for a minute and be like, no.
how can one person be so completely full of shit? How much shit can you fit into one human skin bag? That would be my opening question to him.
Would the intro for the show also be even more spicy than it has been?
Yeah, oh yeah, it'd be sponsored by NVIDIA for sure.
So there's your answer. Guests would be fun, but I don't know necessarily if any guest is going to make it past the intro before they leave. So
find us a guest you think would survive.
You know what? That's
Shkreli's the best we could come up with.
No, I mean, I really don't want to talk to him. I kind of think he's.
That's why we should bring him on, Gherk. Come on, better than Andrew Ross.
Maybe.
You're just selling it.
Maybe,
you're selling it.
We have
even
very
more.
similar personality types, except I'm not a criminal.
Not with that attitude, you're not. You could be one day if you try hard enough.
You know what would be cool? Just have the audience go out and find guests and just randos. If they can just find us randos, I want to talk to those people. Homeless, I don't care. Unhoused, by the way, because people who live in vans are homeless.
Mm.
But they have. I don't care. No. Seriously though, if you see someone out there who you think has interesting commentary on the market, tell us.
Yeah, let us know.
And
who could survive.
We'll try to get them on.
Gherk, yeah. I have a new question for you.
What's up?
Why do you assume our listeners have a problem with conservative commentary? Could you elaborate?
I don't think they have a problem with conservative commentary.
Just you corrected me and said the homeless are the unhoused.
I just did that to piss you off.
Case in point.
Yeah, because it did. It shut you up for like a whole 2 minutes. No, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway here is between the guest question and the progressive commentary question is, I think, to put it quite simply, we don't give a fuck. So if you have someone who you want to have on the show who you think will survive and be agreeable to this manner of content, then yeah, we'd love to have people on and chat with them. But yeah, it's like when we think of people getting through the intro and listening to what we have to say, you know, they may think that it makes them seem a little uncouth like us. Although I consider myself quite couth.
Let's get to it, GammaStrike.
You're the most couth of all three of us.
We finally launched.
We did.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Do it.
Sell it.
Yeah, or buy it or whatever it is. Oh, we need a stupid bet, guys. Come on.
No,
Oh,
we have to. No,
shit.
we have to talk
I bet
about
we can't get a
GammaStrike.
guest for next week.
Fuck
Can
that
we
bet.
talk about GammaStrike? Can we talk about the features?
Didn't
No,
we
are
already
not
talk about
gonna
it at the
talk
beginning? We got to talk about it at the end too,
A
like a
little
sandwich,
bit.
a shill sandwich.
Shill sandwich.
Shill sandwich, yeah.
You
What do
know,
think
we
this
did build
is?
it. We should probably tell people about it.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I don't care. I have another job, so I'm like, I'm fine.
That's not. It's
We
not.
all have other jobs, which is part of the
But
reason
Dork-
why we can.
Dork doesn't
offer
like his.
Look, I like my job at times. Other times it's just a little. It's difficult.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
GammaStrike.
what makes it so special, other than the things we talked about before?
I feel like you should be able to answer that.
I can. One of the things that we have spent a lot of time doing is making sure that what we're offering is the most functional version of the tools, not only offering new tools to people that we think are valuable, that we've kind of built over time for ourselves, but to make sure that the tools that people are already also using are the most functional, usable versions of that tool that they could find anywhere for the least amount of money. Because, part of it was, yes, we want to build our cool ideas, but we also got to get Gherk, our professional trader, off of all of his other bullshit tools, because he was spending he was spending a shitload of money on all these tools. And these are tools we wanted to build anyway that we knew we needed. And so we're like, we're going to build them, and we're going to make sure we build them the way that we want to use them, right? So if Gherk had a service where he's like, I thought this was good, it provided this data and it seemed accurate, but updated once every 10 minutes. We said, let's do it every 10 seconds. Or, if there was another service and the data was inaccurate on some days or it went down on busy times, right? Then that's what we talked about before. We built in this redundancy, and we built in, the go and search feature to backfill if something went very wrong. So once it came back up online, you didn't lose information. So, I mean, a lot of it is just really practical under the hood, just really good execution. And so I would say for those who already use various services that provide options data, I would encourage you, go look through the docs, go look through our tools that we offer and the discussion there. And if it's unclear if we provide what you already have for less money, or if we don't provide it, then ask us, or go on our subreddit, go on anywhere and just criticize us and tell us why.
Talk to us about it.
And it will only make it better, right? But we actually had somebody who criticized us earlier today on Reddit, and I love it. Like, go for it, because it gives us some insight into, number one, what is your perception of our service, whether it's valid or not, right? That tells us that we're not doing a good job of explaining to you what it is we do. But two, like, is it actually giving you something that you want or not? And if it's not, why? What is missing? Because there's a very good chance that we'll just do it, and it'll be. I mean, there's already some features that we're building now after, we haven't even fully launched it. This is our weekend launch. We're already talking about these additional features that we're already trying to implement, that are showing up on other services. But we said, you know what, if we're going to implement it, it's got to be, 10x better. It's got to update this fast. It's got to do these things.
Well, it's not even. I think you're selling short to the whole process we go through when we do make this data. So this is the culmination of years of me, JFresh, and Gherk just arguing in the late nights and just validating over and over again and refining everything so much. Like, this has gone through several iterations and technological leaps to the point now where it is like we are just constantly trying to poke holes in what we make and everything to make sure that what we provide is the best possible product that can be outputted from one of these things. Like we really, really care a lot about it. And I think that it shows. So that's something that I think is important for this service as well.
Yeah.
We just have an eye for accuracy, all that stuff, making sure that we're not, cutting corners on any of our, calculations and all that stuff. We
Yeah.
really go all out.
And start a conversation with us because, there are current users now who've been with us, as we've developed the beta, where we just kind of said, like, some of our heavier users, we just said, you know what, we're going to try to get you to one service.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we got
that user
one.
specifically, we've been successful.
Yeah, we got the most hardcore service user of our beta group down to one service now, and honestly, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I mean,
And not Gherk, someone else.
Yeah, not me, a different person. But I think that embodies everything that we wanted this to be. We were very tired of seeing services that promised something and under-delivered. We're tired of seeing services that were just, scams or lies,
or just a giant fire hose of data too. Like that was probably
we were
the worst
tired of
offenders.
seeing
Were
services where it was just
giant
unaggregated nothing
Yeah.
that you could never possibly derive anything from if you sat there for hundreds of days.
By the time you understand what it's saying, it's already way too late to act.
And we built this, layer by layer from the ground up. We thought about the data. We thought about how it's most useful, where it's most, how to make it visible, how to understand the workflow of a trader moving through our platform, where they need data, how they need to visualize that data, the time frames in which they need to see that data. And yeah, some of this leads to the product being a little bit constrained in some ways, but it also allows us to build this framework and continue to build new services, new models within this framework that we know are going to add additional layers to the data that we've already developed and to the tools that we've already developed. And I think it's just going to be a philosophy of ours to create this ecosystem where you can go and you can find out whatever it is you need to know about any asset simply, easily, and there's going to be a straightforward path to finding that. And once you have it, you're going to be able to analyze it, and we're going to provide the tools for all of that. And some people look at our service and they wonder if that's too complex, if it's too hard for the average person to understand. And so we built tools for that as well to help people understand it better, to display complex data and ideas simply. Um, and I think we've been very successful so far in creating something that not only people can understand, but that people can use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's data
I
that
will
matters.
say,
Really.
well, I will say one thing I think that sets our strategy apart from a lot of the other folks. And, I'm guessing a little bit, but there are a lot of things that we've worked on that didn't make the cut because they weren't as useful as we hoped they would be. And that's
Yeah.
been one really important part is that Gherk does this professionally. And so if we give him something that's shit or give him something that doesn't really help, it, we'll have these conversations like, yeah, we put a lot of work into this, but it doesn't seem to really be telling us what we hoped it would. So it's not making the cut. So that's something that we've put in, our ideology very early on is that we have to provide actionable data. It can't just be a lot of data because that's the marketing hole you want to get dragged into is the more you provide, the better because it just makes it look like the service has more value because it provides more data. But a lot of that data is worthless.
a lot of it's just the same thing reiterated.
Some
in
of it,
different
yeah.
ways.
Some of it, yeah, is just rehashed. And so then it's not efficiently displayed, right? And it is inefficiently displayed to create the illusion that it is more than it really is. And so
That it's
we've cut out,
sophisticated.
we've tried to cut out all that bullshit, and just everything we make has a reason and a purpose, and it provides a specific value to people who are trying to understand how positioning is building in the market and how it's evolving over time. And I don't know, give us a shot if you want. I think I stand by the product. I'm really happy with it, and it's just going to keep getting better from here, to borrow a line from the AI folks. This is the worst it'll ever
I'm
be.
glad you borrowed from the AI folks and not from the Campbell's associate vice president or whatever.
Wow, even Ron is like, you've overshilled. Move on.
Yeah.
All right, too much shilling.
So, yeah, it's time to do the thing that everybody is listening for, which is, of course, stupid bets. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna lose?
Rod wants to go to bed.
JFresh won. He had
poor
to
guy.
gloat at the beginning, so we already know that he won.
Half one. I half one.
Yeah, half one. So, okay, so I guess the question is, does Bank of Japan ruin Christmas? That's too far away. Fuck,
That's the 18th.
Yeah, Black
That's
Friday on
next
Black
week's
Friday.
bet.
Yeah.
What's
Black
stupider
Friday on
than
Black
that?
Friday?
What's stupider than that?
That's
Fuck,
true. Black Friday
I
on
love
Black
it
Friday.
so much.
Yes, no contracts. Let's go. Okay.
It's a half day though, and half days
Right.
are weird.
It could not be dumber.
Yeah, it's highly unlikely, I think.
Which is why I'm going to say yes.
So you're going to say no?
I'm going to say no.
All right, JFresh.
Fuck,
what do you
I don't
say?
want to say
Yes,
no.
I
I like
have to
being
say
bearish.
yes. I have to say
Okay.
yes because it's my bet.
It's his thing.
Okay, JFresh says yes. Gherk says no. So now I'm the deciding factor for all those yes/no contracts that are getting bought right now on Kalshi. So as soon as I say my
Wait, hold
answer,
on. JFresh.
Oh yeah, I gotta get my bet too, so that way I can sell it really quick. When
down percentage.
Like just
4.
on the day of, or like
Yeah.
over the whole week?
Day of
4.
What is Black Friday to you? On Black Friday.
Limit down.
Limit down?
10?
Oh, shit. 7.
I mean,
7.
It's a stupid bet. Let's just go for it.
All right, yeah. So limit down on Friday. JFresh says yes. All right. Gherk
Black
says
Friday
no.
on Black
All right,
Friday.
I'm gonna go with 30 bips up.
You're going 30 bips up. Oh, so we're just going on that day. Okay, you're going 30 bips up. He's going limit down. It is a half day, so I'm gonna say 85 bips up.
Oh, damn.
Extra bull.
It's a
Now I
half
just
day.
want to go flat.
That's a half Friday.
That's right. Half Friday. Yeah, 85 bips up.
All right. So there's stupidity on both sides then. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's also end of month.
I think I won the last 2 weeks, so I can be extra stupid this week. I don't care if I lose.
I might win
Don't
this
forget,
one.
there's a problem funding credit on the short end.
Oh, fuck off with that, Gherk. Come on. Don't kill my vibe, all right?
Just saying.
All right.
That kind of comes up at the end of the month.
Is that it? Are we ready to go, Ron? Did I get you under 2 hours?
Yes, we did.
GammaStrike.com.
1 hour, 48 minutes, and 35 seconds.
Goddamn.
Thank you for listening to Volstars, a GammaStrike production. Please be sure to subscribe and check out our website at app.gammastrike.com.